kind of.
Okay.
We generally don't attend events like normally we are very organic based company, so
Okay.
very nothing, no ads, nothing. So yeah.
Actually, like it was good.
Okay, so let's start it off. Uh, so hey guys, welcome to another session of the Inside Roundtable. This is a place where ideas and leaders meet. And today we have a very special agenda with a very special speaker. Today's agenda is emotional intelligence, the missing piece in talent acquisition and retention. Before we start off, let me quickly brief you about what we do, what Insight stands for. So, we are a platform which allows companies to find talent with 10x more accuracy and 10x less time compared to any other solution in the market. We are trusted by companies like Amazon, Walmart, Cisco, Geo, PayPal, Google, Amazon, Salesforce. We work with around 10,000 plus enterprises and startups and unicorns and consulting firms also. So today we have a very senior leader, a very special one from Adverb. Her name is Kanupriya Verma, and she heads the HRBP at Adverb. So I will introduce you to Kanupriya. So over to you, Kanupriya. Brief introduction about you and what you are doing at Adverb for our folks who are online.
Sure. Thanks, Sarvajit. And thank you, everyone. And thank you for inviting me on Insta Hire. So I'll just give you my short, brief description. So I myself, Kanupriya, as already Sarvajit stated, and I have been the part of Adverb Technologies Limited. It's a
Mhm.
robotics company based out of India. It has
Mhm.
become number one right now in India.
Wow.
I'm taking care of talent acquisition as well as HRBP function for Adverb India, basically. So I head this department. And along with that, I'm also a POSH certified trainer.
Okay, that
Yeah.
is great. So, our session, we can start it off with the first question, which I have framed for Kanupriya, is that how has emotional intelligence shaped your approach to talent acquisition and talent retention?
Okay. First of all, talent, like emotional intelligence nowadays, it has become a prominent subject.
Hmm.
Okay. And everyone must understand that there are five elements of emotional intelligence. One is self awareness. So, first of all, we should understand that whether we know our own emotions or not. So,
Exactly.
once we will be able to know our own emotions, we would be able to manage our own emotions. So, that is self regulation. So that is also important. So first of all, self awareness is important, and
Hmm.
then you would be able to know your own emotion. You would be able to regulate your own emotions in that
Hmm.
ways.
Hmm.
And once you would be able to do both the things, then here comes the motivation. That is the third element. Okay, wherein it measures about ability to remain driven even if there is any kind of challenging situation. Then the fourth one is empathy. That requires a lot. Nowadays, we always keep on talking
Yeah.
about empathy. Okay. So until unless you don't know your own emotions, you don't know how to control your own emotions, how would you put yourself into someone else's shoes? Okay.
Exactly.
How would you be able to understand someone else's feelings? So
Hmm.
that is the fourth part comes as the empathy. Then the last one is social skill, that is ability to collaborate and to build more meaningful relationships. Okay, once you have done your empathy part, once you already understand what that next person and another person is thinking about, okay,
Hmm.
what that person is going through, so you would be able to create more stronger relationship that with that person. Now,
Yeah.
if I state, a normal working person spends 8 to
Hmm.
9 hours at a workplace. Okay, so normally this means 50% of the adult life give yourself to the work. Okay, wherein whatever you feel about the working condition, whether working environment is good or bad, that
Hmm.
also reflects in your personal life as well. Okay, so when you don't feel good at a working place, it could be due to your manager, it could be due to your peers, it could be due to the nature of the work or any other factor. That is the first time you start thinking about leaving the organization. Okay,
Exactly.
normally we don't feel like leaving your own family,
Yeah.
even if you don't feel good about the family, even if you are agitated in the family, even if you are frustrated in the family.
Hmm.
But there is a kind of comfort you always feel about the family, even if you feel like even if you have done something wrong, there is always a family who will back you up, right? It's only because in organization you don't encourage those kind of conversations, you don't feel that much connected. That's the
Hmm.
instance where you start feeling leaving the company. Okay, that could also because you don't feel belongingness in the company, in the organization, and you don't feel like that much of connect. That is where you start manifesting that manifest that okay, my boss is not good. Okay, now I need a higher salary. Okay, and
Hmm.
you feel like now you have a better relationship with the peers. So
Hmm.
that is something every HR must understand, and every HR would only be able to understand once you will be going to have that level of empathy. Okay,
Hmm.
so I always encourage, the like your question was how emotional intelligence has shaped, approach to retention.
Yes.
Retention is something, okay,
Hmm.
there could be personal reasons as well. People do leave the organizations, but you must identify those red flags well in advance. And
Okay.
you would only be able to identify those red flags once you have that certain level of empathy. Once you will be going to, not just hear those employees, you will be going to listen them. What are those intrinsic meaning? What people are not saying.
Hmm.
Okay. That is something where emotional intelligence helps to retain any employee. Okay. Now, in terms of talent acquisition, I would also say since man is a social animal, which always needs psychological safety, where employees not getting that psychological safety or not getting that psychological that positive work environment. Okay, there where person starts feeling like leaving that company. Okay, so you should always be open to have better conversations, so that you should always encourage people not to work in silos. You should always encourage people to have more collaborative approach. Even in my organization, I would say we have open workstations. Okay, so that people can reach out to anyone even if they are not feeling good. Okay, they can
Okay.
reach out to anyone and tell what they are feeling. Okay, we encourage those kinds of conversation. Now, in
Hmm.
terms of talent acquisition, again, being empathetic about the candidate's needs, what they are understanding about their own motivations, where they are coming from. Okay, when they are about to join any organization, they are themselves leaving any company. Okay, where they have already worked for 2 3 years, or even if for the 1 year, they already have those collaborations, though their friends, they are leaving their friends, and of course leaving your own friends at workplace and joining some another organization. There, in that sense, they also must be having some kind of fear in mind. So
Hmm.
when that candidate is feeling something, and if a TA person is not empathetic enough that where that person is coming from, so you won't be able to make those connections with the candidates. Okay, so I'll give you one example. That's a real example that has happened with me. Okay, there
Okay.
was one candidate
Hmm.
where we rolled out an offer letter, which was a very critical position, and now suddenly post rolling out the offer letter, that something personal has happened with the candidate. Okay, now candidate was having that fear in his mind. Okay, what if I'll say that now this personal emergency has come? I would want to request you to shift my date of joining. Okay, so and he was that was also fear in his mind. What if company may revoke my offer letter? Okay, now what will I do? Now, if I was not empathetic enough to understand, if I would say, and I would have said to that candidate, okay, show me what exactly is the reason, give me proofs. There and then, I would have closed my doors to have that trust, to build that trust with that person. Okay.
Okay.
But sometimes we need to have that trust, and that also requires high level of empathy. Okay, so that is something I believe that this empathy, being emotionally intelligent, that has really shaped the talent acquisition and having a better conversation has positive retentions in the organization.
Okay. Okay. Hello.
Yes.
Okay, sure. So yeah, do you think, Kanupriya, after this pandemic, COVID-19, when it was not about the only the employee but also his or her family and health issues, the companies have taken a route which is more of a inclusiveness and caring for the family rather than only for the employee. And I think that can be the basis of the second question which I have. Can you share an instance where emotional intelligence played a very crucial role in a recruitment decision?
Yes. So first of all, I would say, like, of course, like hiring someone for any kind of role which requires, a lot of people interaction or people connection or a
Mhm.
team management along with the technical skills. So I'll start with this. So what we normally evaluate people on that basis, we always initiate questions which are based out of, which are on the basis of behavioral event based questions. Okay, so that is how we initiate, so that we must be able to know that what are their past behaviors. Okay, how they
Okay.
have reacted in some kind of situation. That is the real factor, a real assessment where person will going to display it in their future roles as well. Okay,
Mhm.
so someone again, now since pandemic has happened and people have started feeling, like they required that point of time, they required a lot of safety and security. Okay, now that point of time, so since Adverb used to be a startup, now we have already spent 7 years in the organization, and that point of time, then when COVID happened, so there used to be candidate which used to ask a lot of questions, whether there is a job security or not. Okay.
Mhm.
Whether that person will be going to get enough safety whenever there is someone who is in need in his family, okay, or in her family. So therein we must understand that if someone is coming up with these kind of questions, okay, if someone is having those kind of apprehensions in mind about job securities, okay, so you must not reject all those questions. Being a TA person, you must understand that the mind of the person is not that way, that you the mindset is coming from somewhere else. When Snapdeal actually laid off a lot of employees,
Mhm.
wherein people started feeling that like all the startups, maybe their jobs are not safe in the startups. Okay, even if they are already having those questions, you must understand, maybe they'll ask you all those questions or maybe they'll not ask you, but you should have those probing techniques. Even
Mhm.
if they are not saying, you must keep on asking the right question, you must keep on having the right conversations. Okay, so that people should have that much trust with the TA person. Okay, this
Mhm.
is my friend and I am able and I'm ready to share anything with that person. Again, it's a first person in the organization with whom I can have any help, even if I will be in the need.
Okay. Okay. So lovely insights, I think, Kanupriya. And we have a lot of young folks who are getting into recruitment or have gone into recruitment. And this is a part which plays a very important role in candidate experience or candidate delight.
Correct.
And they can learn a lot from this session.
See,
So,
Sachin, at the end of the day, like the entire HR profession, comes from empathy.
yes.
Okay, so that's why even in my, like if I say in my organization, whenever we play for normally to give a best candidate experience,
Mm.
even after post rolling out the offer letter, we always ensure to have a better connect with the new team members even before they join the organization. So we always
Mm.
ensure that even before they're joining the company, they must know everyone in the company, so that
Mm.
at the time of joining, they must not be feeling like this is something new to me.
Mm.
They don't feel uncomfortable. Okay,
Mm.
that is how we keep on doing a lot of engagement activities just after rolling off the offer letter, even when they have not joined the company.
Yes, exactly. And we have seen this kind of activities going around throughout, like people, as you said, like we call up the new joiners before they have joined, so that in
Yes,
your town halls or maybe in your like open meetings or open talks, so that they can connect with the culture also, as in like
correct, correct.
how the team behaves as a
Yes,
team and how they take decisions. Great. So my next question is similar to this. How do you foster an environment where emotional intelligence is recognized and nurtured? So it cannot be created in day one. It needs to be
correct.
nurtured. It needs to be, that culture needs to be created. The company culture needs to be created, which helps you to bring up that intelligence not only in hiring but also in day to day, everyday operations. So how do you foster environment, Kanupriya?
Okay. So I'll just give you one example. Like I would quote it from the book *Sapiens*. Okay.
Okay.
So one of the things that differentiated humans and helped them evolve was
Mm-hmm.
ability to talk and ability to have meaningful conversation. It again comes to the point of conversation,
Mm-hmm.
okay, and the human touch. So even the evolution of human civilization is measured by the broken bone, okay,
Mm-hmm.
which shows that one person was there who took time to stay with the person, has bound a bone and then carried the person to the safe place, ensuring his recovery. Okay, that was only possible because that person must have conversed, or must have had a meaningful conversation with that patient.
Yes.
Okay, which we cannot see in animals. They cannot
Mm-hmm.
converse. Now, this thing was only possible, as I told you, and since it is very important not to just have a conversation, to
Mm-hmm.
be more meaningful and impactful. Okay, so how to have these conversation? That is what something we ensure that we must focus. We always focus on first of all how our leaders should reflect. Okay, so we conduct a lot of interventions in the organizations where leaders can reflect on where they are going, what they are doing. Okay, once leaders structural development is complete, then we encourage them to have meaningful conversations amongst peers and amongst their own team members through regular feedback, and encourage. We also ask them to encourage to have a better collaboration within the organization. Now when it comes to giving feedbacks, that does not mean that you are giving a feedback to just to point out a mistake. Okay, it should also be there that leaders are encouraged to give the feedback to have a better deliverables. Okay, to encourage a person to succeed in their own careers. Once you start giving a feedback in a non-constructive way, people become more defensive. Okay, you don't like it. If I'll get a feedback, I won't like in a such a negative way. I won't
Mm-hmm.
like it. I'll become more defensive, and that's how people do react because we are humans. So that's what that is the kind of conversations we do in the organization, because we know these are the leaders only who will going to demonstrate what has been taught to them.
Mm-hmm.
So that is something which we that is how we actually foster an environment of emotional intelligence in the organization. Along with that, we always ask our leaders to lead by the example. Okay, so what they are doing, they must lead by example. That is something they must learn. So that is also we ensures. Okay, and again along with that, we always ensures to have a better collaboration. And the first last part is to become more inclusive as a workplace. Okay, we hire a lot of people having different backgrounds, different cultures, different genders, so that people will be able to understand each other's emotions in a better way, to have a better collaboration. This is also something which we do, and that is also fosters the environment of emotional intelligence in our organization.
Okay, great insights, Kanupriya. The next question is about the challenges. So, traditional HR processes has been going along for like several years, several decades. Okay, now when we are very conscious about like EI or emotional intelligence, and we need to embed them in the traditional processes. Have you faced challenges, or what challenges have you faced when you are embedding this kind of new lease of like emotional intelligence into the traditional HR processes?
Okay, so Sarbajit, like honestly speaking, I would say that we have not faced any such challenges while incorporating AI, since HR itself means becoming more empathetic.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We should first understand how did HR function actually evolve. It evolved from first industrial evolution, where people used to work for 16 hours. Even the pregnant women used to work at the shop floors. Even deliveries used to happen at the shop floor. So somehow no one was even aware about these are the things which should not happen. When then people started voicing it out that they cannot work that ways. It was more like a humane requirement, which is why the concept changed from personal management to human resource management. Okay, so now the question is, shouldn't this have happened from the beginning? Yes, it should have happened from the beginning itself. Okay, probably what the catalyst of that time lacked was empathy. Now it is more human resource management. Okay, it means we have become more empathetic towards our employees, towards needs and requirements of our employees, towards whom with whom we are working. So it was not such a struggle for us to embed EI into our processes. Even the Savitri Bhai Phule, who worked at
Mm.
shop floor, she also faced a lot of rejections when she started working at the shop floor. And nowadays, we encourage female employees to work at shop floors. We encourage female employees to become entrepreneurs. Okay, that
Mm.
has come from the a level of empathy, which has now, people are becoming much more aware about these terms. Okay,
Yes.
so honestly speaking, we have not actually faced such challenges because we know that these are the basic human requirement that must be there.
Okay. Okay. Great. Do you think that diversity and inclusion and equity, these principles have also helped create a sense of emotional intelligence into the like general workforce?
Yeah, of course. As I stated in the last, question, last to last question, that yes, diversity. We believe in having diversity and inclusion and equity at the workplace, where since we have a lot of diversity, we have people from different states, different genders. So
Hmm.
people are becoming more aware about each other's emotions. Where are they coming from? Okay, what are their natural instincts? What are their natural way of working. Even someone is saying that ways, maybe that person might not be feeling that ways, or might be the intrinsic meaning of saying something is different in any other culture. Okay, so I think inclusiveness, diversity and equity, that is a DI concept, has actually encouraged people to understand the emotional intelligence, have encouraged people to be more empathetic about others, to understand what other people are thinking and what other people are feeling. So that has helped people to become more empathetic and to have a better conversations around the same.
Okay. Okay. Great. So now we move on to the next question. Kanupriya, like 5 years down the line or 10 years down the line, how do you think emotional intelligence can transform culture of a workplace or an organization culture?
Okay. So actually, I would say not just 5 years down the line, even people have started fostering the culture of
Hmm.
EI, and EI has started fostering the culture, positive culture in a positive way.
Hmm.
The organizations have become more supportive. They have become more inclusive in that way because they themselves started realizing how emotional intelligence is important. Okay, so for someone who has high EI, always exceeds in effective communication. That's what
Exactly.
organizations have actually realized it. That
Hmm.
only better collaborations will only be possible when there will be effective communication. Okay, so
Hmm.
when I'm saying effective communication, it means like EI, high EI people understand what people are not saying. Okay, why people are feeling that way. Okay, they are not just assessing what people are saying, they are also assessing the intrinsic meaning of why, where that is coming from. Okay, as again I say, they are just not hearing what people are saying, they are also listening. Okay, that is, listening is very much important. So whenever someone is communicating with that level of empathy and respect, the misunderstandings automatically normally reduced and leading to the transparent work culture.
Hmm.
Okay, so that is like emotional intelligence has high potential to transform workplaces into a positive one. Could transform a workplace where everybody would want to and love to work in that work culture.
Okay, great. So speaking about work culture, in a few months down the line, we have seen a lot of things happening in the industry. A lot of companies are struggling with like employee satisfaction and also maintaining the same culture which they had, say, a few months back, a couple of quarters back. So how have you seen that EI directly impacting the employee satisfaction and also maybe the retention rate in your journey?
Okay, so I would say that with better communication and with better relationship, which eventually, when you have high level of empathy, you could foster a better relationship. So I've seen people having better conflict resolutions, wherein it leads to higher satisfaction. It leads to better work culture, and when you have better work culture, you always feel like coming back to the office, coming back to next day in the office and working in that kind of organization. And retention itself, it says, like I just quoted an example, when in home, you always feel like going back to the home, even if you don't have friends, still you feel like that's a family. That's why you always feel like going back to the home, and because you feel safe in your own home.
Yes.
So in still, where organizations foster that kind of safety net for the people, okay, with
Mm.
high level of empathy for the or for their employees, which in itself creates high level of retention.
Yes, actually, it also creates a lot of brand ambassadors for the company itself, because these
Yes,
guys will go out and talk about the company.
and that's how even people start liking their work too. They
Yes.
are more engaged in the work areas, they're more engaged in their own work, just
Mm.
because they feel that they are safe in the organization. They are psychologically, they feel like they will be heard even if they'll feel any kind of problem.
Okay, okay. So, Kanupriya, we come to the end of the question answers which we have set for you. We have a lot of audience Q&A. We have selected a few of them, and we can start off with the audience Q&A section. So, folks, whoever is listening right now on our live streams, you can ask your questions right now. I will start off with a question which was asked by Rahul Mehta, who asked that how can organization train the recruiters to harness the power of emotional intelligence? Training the recruiters to harness the power of AI.
Okay. So Sarvjit, first of all, it's for all the recruiters, okay, who are listening this session. And first of all, first important thing for every TA person is to be more aware about their own emotions. Okay.
Hmm.
So, and like nowadays, organizations are doing a lot of surveys. There are 360 EQ surveys, and there are other surveys also which organizations are using. Okay. So, once you're already aware about your own emotions, then you must educate your recruiters how to manage those emotions. Okay. So, once you would be able to manage those emotions, even if in front of any candidate, okay, then you would be able to place yourself into candidate's shoes, where where that person is coming from. That
Hmm.
person must be having a lot of apprehensions and fears in mind. Third thing, you must train your recruiters on active listening. That is
Okay.
very important. Okay, so organize workshops, on active listenings. Teach your recruiters not to hear, not just to hear. It's also about listen them. What are the intrinsic meanings what people are saying? Okay. Also, recruiters are trained to ask on open-ended questions, so that people can open up with you, candidates can open up with you, and would be able to ask any such questions which are there in their own mind. So a lot of the organization, like in my organizations also, we train our recruiters on the interviewing skills techniques. Okay, then the last one which I feel which is very important, that rejections must be handled empathetically.
Hmm.
Okay, that should be there. Even if any candidate has rejected your offer,
Hmm.
okay, you must not feel dejected. Okay, you must not feel that angry, or why that person has rejected my offer. It has to be because the day you have started the conversation with your candidate, okay, that day only you have created a bond. And that is something, like at any point of maybe that person might have rejected your offer this time, but once you have created and built up that particular relationship, that candidate will itself come back to you at any point of time. Okay, even if you are in the same organization, or even if you are in any other organization. So
Hmm.
that is how, these are the few things where every recruiter must be trained.
Okay. Okay. Great. So I think Rahul, you got the answer. Now I move to Anika's question. Anika Gupta asked that in your experience, how does emotional intelligence or EI contribute to conflict resolution within teams?
Okay, so yes, of course, because nowadays, if EI is there, so of course it has helped a lot of people to have better conflict resolution. So there are different conflict resolution styles. So I'll not describe, but yes, I'll quote some names. That one
Hmm.
is, that is a collaboration style is there. There is a compromising style. There is a competing style. Competing style is there. There is accommodation kind of
Hmm.
conflict management style. Okay, so when you are always aware of your own emotions, you are always empathetic about others. That's how you realize, and that's how you become more aware about what kind of conflict management style you'll have to adopt.
Hmm.
Okay, because now you have become more aware about own emotions, you have become more aware about what other person is feeling. Okay, so you will be able to select any conflict management style, and it becomes easier to manage those conflicts.
Hmm. Understood. Okay. So we move on to the next question, Kanupriya. We have from Samir Ranjan. Can you share a strategy that amplifies the role of EI or emotional intelligence in employee branding, onboarding? Sorry, employee onboarding. Can you share a strategy
Onboarding.
that
Okay.
amplifies the role of EI in employee onboarding?
Onboarding. Okay. Okay. So, Sarvjit, like, are you married?
No.
You're not married. Okay, fine. So still, you must have gone through a lot of marriages, right? And you
Yeah.
must have seen a lot of rituals as well. So our actually Indian marriages are the best example. They are
Hmm.
made in such a way that actually amplifies higher level of EI. Okay, in their rituals, so whenever any new bride comes in and joins any new home, they she has to go through a lot of rituals, which requires her to interact with every family member.
Hmm.
Okay, so like any ritual, like there is a ritual in Hindu tradition, there is a ritual to make sweet dish, where first time that bride is introduced to the kitchen, right? So
Okay.
that is how then she has to serve a sweet dish to the family members. That is how she is being introduced to the family members. Now there is a ritual where the groom's sisters are blocking the door. Okay, where she is being introduced to all the sister. So all these problems have already been resolved in our culture. So it
Hmm.
has evolved through EI. Our Indian culture is such a evolved one that already attributes to all these issues. Okay, so which is why every in our tradition we have different type of rituals for a bride, so that for this particular bride it becomes easier to adjust in any new environment. Okay, so we actually don't need any kind of engagement surveys. Instead, we must focus on having regular conversations through various modes. It could be either through a formal way conversation, or through connecting a person on a coffee connect. Okay, same style. If I talk about onboarding chunk, okay, so you need to create such an onboarding experience where person must be going to have a conversation with everyone in the organization, and it has to become a ritual.
Okay.
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 So, like in my organization, we have pre-onboarding engagements. Okay, where people, the new of those who have like accepted our offers. Okay, they're going to connect with other their reporting managers, their superiors as well before joining. Again, after joining the organization, we have a buddy system. They will be assigned buddies or mentors throughout their life, so they could any time go to their buddies for any kind of problems apart from the HR. So that is the ritual you'll have to create in your onboarding program, so that it become easier for any new candidate to adjust in any new organization.
Understood. Understood. Great. Okay. So I will come to the last question of the session by the users, like question by the users. Radhika Sen asks, how do you measure the impact of emotional intelligence on talent retention? So we have talked about a lot of emotional intelligence and talent retention. Any few pointers which you want to mention in this question, how for measuring the impact?
Yeah, so I'll just again say it's all
Hmm.
about, as long as there is human touch, people
Hmm.
will work with you.
Okay.
Okay. So why did Abdul Kalam never leave Vikram Sarabhai? Because
Hmm.
there was a human touch.
Hmm.
Okay. Even while doing exit interviews, people always say, like, my manager never spoke to me.
Hmm.
That's why I'm not satisfied with this thing. Okay. So we all there is always a saying, people don't leave organizations. People leave their managers. Okay,
Hmm.
so that is how you have to have a better conversation with the employees. You must understand what they are saying. Even if someone is leaving, that's okay. Okay, they must have their own reason, but you should never leave that connect with that particular employee. So there has to be a human touch. Then nowadays, organizations do believe in implementing a lot of softwares. I always suggest people to have a better connect only through the human touch. Have better conversations, connect with people, ask them, talk to them instead of getting what they're feeling, getting their pulse surveys.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So we come to the end of the question answer session. Now I have the last bit, which is we have talked about all this discussions were about recruiters and recruitment and HRs. Now I'm coming to the other side of the spectrum. So what are your tips for the budding job seekers or candidates who want to get into the dream job? What are your tips, like couple of tips which can help them to secure a good job or the dream job, Kanupriya?
Okay, so first of all, I'll say keep your profile updated on LinkedIn.
Okay.
Okay, and make better connections on these social media profiles.
Hmm.
Okay, which is a beneficial one. Okay, and keep learning. Skill building is must. Even if there is a gap in CV, you must always keep on learning something. There are a lot of courses on Udemy or Coursera. You people can keep on doing those courses. Upgrading yourself is must. Okay, even if
Hmm.
you're working in any organization, you must keep on upgrading yourself on this new skill sets. Okay, so that is something which I believe.
Okay, okay, great. So with that, we come to the end of the session. It was great having you, Kanipriya, and with your insights and your examples, real life examples, plus the like a very beautiful story you have woven about different things, about Indian tradition and how you connect with things. It was great having you, and a few words for our listeners and folks, and then we can close off the session.
Sure. So, Sarvji, thank you first of all for Insta Hire for inviting me, and it's great thing what you guys are doing. I just wish to say all the best for your team.
Okay. Thank you, Kanupriya, for your time and taking your time out from a busy schedule to coming onto our Insta roundtable. Okay. So meet you soon. Take care and have fun. Bye bye.
Thanks,
Have a great
Sushil. Thanks, Sarvji.